Every franchise has its core characters, and in the case of Cars, this often refers to Lightning McQueen and Mater only. But why don't we talk about Sally for a moment? Sally is a main character in the first film, but since then her role has been diminished a lot. Only in Cars 3 she has become more prominent again. However, she's still far away from her prime time, as the franchise has put its shift more to the McQueen and Mater duo again as of Cars on the Road. You may ask why Sally matters. So here are a few reasons. First of all, she's been the first female main character in the franchise, and thus this presence should be strengthened in the male-dominated world of Cars. Of course, we were introduced to more like Holly Shiftwell, but she's a spy, and Cars has always been more about racing, so her future might be thin. Besides, there is Cruz, who has yet quite some potential for further use. In fact, Pixar has not forgotten about her, as she's the only established character that really returned for Cars on the Road. In contrast, many argue that Ivy was an unnecessary addition, as her character is less elaborated. Piston Cup Productions once stated she could have been scrapped, as there is a female character already at stage with Sally. Moreover, Sally is not any figure, but Lightning's girlfriend, and thus deserves more attention. There are only few characters McQueen has strong ties with: Mater, his best friend; Doc Hudson, his mentor; Cruz, whose mentor he has become; and of course Sally. Even though Doc has died before the events of Cars 2, we learn a lot about his relationship to Lightning during the flashbacks in Cars 3. Cruz's character was closely explored in the third film, and her role in the show was a smooth comeback that didn't need too much substance besides her crazy ways of spending her free time. Mater is easily the character we know the most about besides McQueen, as he's been a lead in any Cars installment besides the third film. However, we haven't gotten much new substance for Sally's character, because she is so absent. So let's take a look at her appearances. In Cars, she has shown Lightning one of the many sides of life at the off-ramp. Sally was one of the leads, and along with McQueen and Mater, she was the last one to be seen before the credits. In Mater and the Ghostlight, she was featured like anybody else, but in Cars 2, she only had her few moments at Wheelwell in London and in the end. Sally appeared like a few others in the Radiator Springs 500½, and even though she's no protagonist in Cars 3, her role is quite prominent as she appears in key scenes throughout the film. In Cars on the Road, her screen time is limited to a 3-phrase cameo. Don't we want more Sally? You're uncertain? Let me explain why she's interesting. As I've said, we know a lot about Mater and McQueen, their strengths and weaknesses, but also about their relationship to each other. Cars on the Road helped deepen our insights on this relation. But what do we actually know about our dream couple? Sally loves Lightning as much as he loves her. Separating in Cars was tough for them, but in the end they were reunited. However, the franchise tells its stories through Lightning's lens, and we only see how Sally supports him. In Cars 2, Sally doesn't complain about his participation in the World Grand Prix, because she knows how important racing is for her boyfriend. When all trouble culminates in London, she doesn't hesitate to follow him and encourages him to race. In Cars 3, this observation becomes more obvious. Sally leaves him the space he needs to recover from the crash, but she's also the key actor to make him regain his self-confidence. Wouldn't it be of interest to get more insights on Sally? One idea for Cars 2 was to dive deeper into her background story, and in my opinion it would still be worth going into that direction. So how could Sally's future role in Cars look like? Let's think about a possible fourth film. Both Lightning and Sally are no youngsters and could be subject to a midlife crisis at any time. The events of Cars 3 have turned Lightning's life upside down already. Sally, on the contrary, has been quite stable. When she left LA and came to Radiator Springs, she was happy with her new life. Later on, she found the love of her life. But Lightning and Sally have never married, nor do they have children. Although we need to admit that issue is sensitive in the world of Cars. Also, as I've pointed out, Sally supports her boyfriend strongly. But we don't know how much this applies the other way round, besides the assumption that Lightning may have helped her reopen Wheelwell. So, what if Sally starts thinking outside the box? Cars 2 was about challenging the friendship of Lightning and Mater, so why shouldn't future installments do the same with the relation of Sally and Lightning? There's plenty of scope to go in that direction. I'm not a fan of repeating Lightning's jealousy of Francesco, but what if an old companion of Sally's past returns? What if she senses a new professional option that Lightning may offend? In Cars on the Road, he's eager about returning to his comfortable home, so it's likely he wouldn't like to move and make a new start. Also, we know that Lightning loses his temper from time to time. In Cars, he offends Doc when the latter confronts his selfishness. In Cars 2, he gets mad at Mater after the Tokyo fail. And in Cars 3, he attacks Cruz for not making any progress during the training. Any issue could cause a similar dispute with Sally. Cars on the Road alludes to his return to racing, even though this might be attributed to the simple ignorance of the fact that he has become Cruz's trainer and stopped racing for at least one season. Sally may want him to shift down a gear in order to spend more time together. In fact, that's plausible, as Mater states all townies would miss Lightning when he's on the road in the third film. Anyways, that's just one way to go. So let's take a look at Cars on the Road. Jay Ward told in an interview there were a few Cars things brewing, and the show had an open end calling for another season. That's enough reasoning to go on with it. I've once argued that the show worked on the chemistry of McQueen and Mater, and a road trip is the good occasion. You spend lots of time together, and thus have your ups and downs. However, we've seen all of this already, so that doesn't suffice for a second season. Instead, we need more input. Either the two meet a lot of old friends, just as I have proposed in a video last year, or somebody joins the trip home. Let's imagine Sally is that somebody. That idea is based on another thought by Piston Cup Productions because he would have liked to see the townies or at least Sally included into the trip. The major benefit would be to escape repetitiveness because I think the chemistry of the leads would be accelerated if she enters the group. It would be a chance to see Lightning and Sally interact with each other, but not the way Queen and Mater did, because as a couple they may have some common interests and thus similar preferences for places to see. This reminds me of Toy Story 4. There we see how Woody and his love interest Bo Peep make plans to rescue other toys together. The vividness in Cars on the Road may become more poignant because of that, and because Mater might become the third wheel from time to time, but this could also apply to Sally. Another example of how this could work out builds on Lightning's interest in dinosaurs. Sally is intelligent, so she knows a lot of things too. Just imagine the trio happens to be in a quiz show where Lightning and Sally become real know-it-alls. There's a lot of room for Sally in the continuation of the show, and if you wonder how she could be incorporated, this may be very simple. First, a relative of her dies and she inherits something, so she heads off to the place and she calls her friends to join her. Second, a relative of hers becomes sick and she takes care of them. During the groceries, she and Lightning happen to meet. To conclude, I'd like to sum up my ideas of how to improve Sally's role in the Cars franchise. She matters because she was a lead in Cars, but has since turned into a supporting character. Also, she's a valuable female character to build on the road of representation. Besides, and this strikes the most, she's Lightning's girlfriend and this relationship hasn't been explored as deep as it could have been yet. If it's a movie or another season for Cars on the Road, there are many ways to give Sally a voice, and I think there is no need to argue we need more of her. Let me know what you think about my thoughts, and thank you a ton for watching.